Well, good morning and welcome to Karen's Corner. I am so excited to introduce Carrie Carr with Hope Enrichment Center. How are you this morning, Carrie?
I'm doing well, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining
Wonderful.
me this morning. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of got you into working as a therapist and a little bit about your practice.
Sure. So I guess I'll start with, how did I get into this crazy business of doing psychotherapy as a living? I guess I'll start with saying, at least for myself, choosing to do this for a living sprung out of course, my own journey through trauma and life and pain and really feeling called to want to help and be a mentor and a guide to other people, as I've been very fortunate to have through life, in taking the garbage and the painful things that have happened, will happen to us in life, and turning that into something that creates great leadership, it creates great insight, it creates great empathy, leaders in our homes, in our communities, in our country, in the world. And so that was really my impetus, because again, I feel like I was able to have that done for me over my lifetime with different people in, of all kinds of different things, other friends, parents, pastors, coaches, therapists, you name it, mentors, coaches. So that was really my why, was to inspire positive change. And, in fact, that's part of our mission with our practice, Hope Enrichment Center, is inspiring positive change to have a positive impact on the planet. That's really why we exist. And that's really what I wanted to create, and hope that I have created and will continue to create. You asked a little bit about how we got into practice and how this came to be. I've been in the field of psychotherapy in some way, shape, or form for almost 30 years. I know it doesn't seem like it.
Love it.
But I've worked in a ton of different venues, of course, from social service agencies to inpatient treatments to alternative schools to private practice. So I've kind of done the gamut. I've been in private practice first with a group, joined another group in Chicago, which is where I'm from, in 2000, and did a little work with those folks and really loved it. I had a great mentor boss whom I'm still friends with and I still keep in touch with when I go back to Chicago. And then in 2004, I branched off on my own because I found out that I just don't play well with others in the sandbox. I don't know how any other way to describe that. Let's put it this way, I had a very, very strong vision for what I wanted to do. And I felt that the practice that I originally started in was an excellent breeding ground, and again, had a wonderful supervisor boss who really inspired me to do my own thing and was always very supportive, still is supportive of me this many years later, and broke off into doing my own thing. This whole practice started in the south suburbs of Chicago, in a suburb at the time, Oak Lawn. Right now, our practice is in Palos Heights, Illinois, in the Chicago area still. And of course, we have 4 other locations in Cordova, Tennessee. We have one in South Haven, Mississippi, and now Oxford, Mississippi. But it all started in Chicago, and with just me and one secretary who still works for me. And she has vowed that she's never leaving me. She's going to die behind the desk. And so I guess things must be going well for her at the Hope Enrichment Center. Just kind of worked my tail off as an individual practitioner, specializing at that time. When I started, I did a lot of play therapy, worked with kiddos with non-directed play therapy, and my specialty has always been, even with kids all the way through adults, anxiety disorders, trauma, and of course with that goes the mood disorders and things like that. But it was really a lot of what attracted me was really working with people that had a lot of attachment issues, a lot of trauma, and especially panic disorder, OCD, generalized anxiety disorder, those kinds of things. So really built the practice on that, and then got super busy and decided, we'll go ahead and we'll start adding some more people to this practice. So slowly over time, we added practitioners in our office in Illinois, and it grew. And I would tell you now in our Palos Heights, I say / Chicago office because it's just easier to define. We have 9 practitioners. One of those is a neuropsychologist that does assessments and also does neurofeedback, which is an addendum to therapy that we like having, especially for our trauma clients, our anxiety clients, and those that also struggle with ADD, ADHD. It just helps with the symptoms of those directly with helping the brain heal itself. Kind of was born out of the biofeedback movement, and now it just worked directly with the brain instead of having to go through the breath or the heart rate to get into the brain. So we've got several therapists up there specializing again in trauma, working with kids, working with families, working with couples, working with chronic illness, ADD, ADHD, gifted children. For a while, we did have bilingual practitioner up there. Unfortunately, she broke off to go do her own thing, so that's good. And so we've got a lot of folks up there. Everybody on the staff is EMDR trained. Because of course I drank the Kool-Aid about EMDR a long time ago. As my practice was growing, I went for EMDR training as a clinician because I felt it fascinating and really married my love of the neurobiology of trauma and what happens in the brain with the psychology of it. And again, little rabbit trail. And so since then, I've become an EMDR trainer, a consultant, certified clinician with the International Association of EMDR, served on their board of directors for 4 years, 1 year as secretary, continue to do networking groups and things in both Illinois and here in Memphis, soon to also be Oxford, in just promoting EMDR as a wonderful therapy addendum to those that want to work with folks that have trauma and anxiety disorders, phobias, addiction. We also have some CADCs. I'm not sure what they call it here in Mississippi and Tennessee, certified alcohol and drug counselors. In our Illinois office, we also have those here in Tennessee and Mississippi. So about 5.5 years ago, I met a boy. It's always a boy, right? Karen is always a boy. And that's Dr. Carrie Carr, and met him at the Mississippi Addiction Conference, speaking for the conference. It was just one of those things that, the universe is funny. And one thing led to another, and we got married, and I moved down here to Mississippi, Olive Branch, and thought, I'll just see my Illinois people via telehealth. So I've been doing telehealth for almost 6 years now, just because it fell into my lap as the nature of it. And I thought, I'll just see some people out of the house in Mississippi. I'll get licensed. It'll be fine. And that didn't happen. We wound up opening up a location in South Haven, Mississippi, and really worked in conjunction with, again, Dr. Carr, Carrie Carr, to develop a program to work with both addictions and trauma. And really just that practice grew and that took off. And then we wound up hiring more people at our South Haven location. And that includes Molly Oken, Jamie Walker, Cherise Goff, Mary Catherine King. So it just continues to grow. From there, we opened up the Cordova office because we felt we needed a Memphis location because we were so close, but wanted to be a little bit more in the suburbs between Germantown and East Memphis. So we chose Cordova, and I've got several practitioners there: Angie Thomason, Pamela Wright, Valerie McKinney, Andrea Stockpole. We're soon to add some more people to that location. So that kind of grew and stumbled on itself. And again, all these folks are trauma-informed, trauma-trained, EMDR trained, or soon to be EMDR trained clinicians, also with backgrounds in addiction and working with families and teens, depends on the practitioner. And this past October, because who knew the pandemic was going to happen in March, we decided to open up another location in Oxford because we felt it was just another community that was growing and that we really wanted the opportunity to serve with the university there, and it just being an expanding community. So in October of 2019, we opened up the Oxford Center. And so myself and Billy Myers currently work out of that location, and that is also growing, and we're bringing on other clinicians. And Billy specializes in OCD, anxiety disorders, and again, of course, mood disorders. He's also EMDR trained. He also does a lot of, again, responsive exposure therapy with OCD and such, and is trained to really treat that. And so we've, it's kind of grown out of this one girl office with one secretary in 2004 to where you see it now. And it wasn't necessarily planned in the beginning. I guess when you have a big mission statement of, I want to inspire positive change in the world goes, okay. And then it starts giving you opportunities. Right. So it wasn't as if I set forth of, I'm going to do that. It's just kind of happened. And I feel very blessed and grateful that those things have been provided for me. And I've got a great staff, and, we all have a similar mission. And so that's a little bit about why and how we got to where we are, and a little bit about where we are now as far as practice wide.
That is incredible, Carrie. I mean, I've always been so impressed with all that you've done and that you continue to do in multiple communities. So it really speaks to your passion.
Okay.
What does somebody need to do if they're looking to schedule an appointment? What's the best way to go about that?
So of course there's the internet and things like that. However, we do have staff at most of our locations that is full-time manning the desk. So it's always best to call. Our South Haven location kind of fields calls for both of our Cordova and our South Haven location. And I don't know if you want me to give phone numbers, but you can find all that information on our website, www.hopeenrichmentcenter.com. But you can find all the practice locations. If you call those numbers, there's going to be a sweet person. We call them our administrative goddesses, are going to answer your phone call, and they are going to get you in touch. They're going to do a little triage with you, and they're going to get you in touch with the clinical directors who will guide you towards the right fit for you, because of course we want it to be somebody that has the right fit, personality, experience, areas of specialty. So that's always the best. Is just give our offices a call, and those sweet ladies will take care of you and get you in touch with the right people.
That's phenomenal. Great. Love it. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Oh, Karen, I have so many things. So the other thing I did want to share is what I also think makes our practice unique is we do provide a lot of CE events. We do provide a lot of continuing education for clinicians, because I also have a passion for wanting to build up, my fellow community however I can. Now, sometimes that's a good fit for people and sometimes it's not, but I do want to mention we provide EMDR training several times a year in both the Memphis area and in the Chicago area. Those are all on our website under EMDR training and consultation. If you've been trained and you need consultation, whether you want to work on certification with EMDR or you just want somebody to talk to about a case and you're like, I'm not sure I'm doing this right, we'd love to be able to serve you. Give us a call. We can help you with that. We also provide free networking groups, as I mentioned, quarterly in the Memphis area and in the Chicago area. Those are listed on our website. We just had one last Saturday, actually, at our South Haven location, and talked about the treatment of OCD, panic, and phobia with EMDR. Because, of course, with the pandemic and people being a little bit more nervous, maybe developing a little bit more, not really sure where this is, we are seeing a little bit more anxiety. So I thought it was fitting for us to talk about how do we incorporate those things with EMDR and other modalities that would be really helpful for that kind of thing. We try to bring other speakers to the area, mostly about EMDR, but we've also done trainings on ego state therapy, mindfulness, again, trauma, the neurobiology of trauma, attachment trauma. So we invite you to check out our website. Please come out and see us. Again, we put on a lot of free events. We're hoping to expand this by the spring into Oxford as well, where we'd like to be bringing more EMDR trainings as well as just free CE events down that way, just to gather up the clinical community down further south. So we just want to let people know we have that. We also have a Next Step program, which is a group that meets twice a week for a month. It's kind of a step down program or a step up program, maybe for people that need a little bit more than once a week counseling, or maybe are stepping out of an IOP or are stepping out of an inpatient system, and they just need a little bit more support before they go into that once a week kind of outpatient therapy. So check out our Next Step program. We'd love to have some people be a part of that. We think that it's very helpful for folks, again, with trauma, addiction, etc., as an extra support.
Excellent. Wow. Well, that's great, Carrie. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. And I'm sure that a lot of people will be interested to hear more about what you're doing. So looking forward to getting the word out.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate this opportunity.
It's great seeing you. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you.